Today we are going to talk about the distance formula. If you remembered from the other day, let me see, today's Monday. If you remembered from the other day, Friday, when we were doing Pythagorean theorem, I said to you, can you see if you can determine the connection between distance formula and Pythagorean theorem? And I hope you did. We're going to talk about the distance formula. You need to either memorize the distance formula or know how to use it based on its connection to the Pythagorean theorem. And I'm going to show you both ways. I like using the Pythagorean theorem better, but you get to choose. So let's look up here at the distance formula. The distance between any 2 points with coordinates x1, y1 and x2, y2 is given by the formula shown, where the distance equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Here's why, and we're going to write this up at the top here. Here's how the Pythagorean theorem is related. The Pythagorean theorem, as you know, because we talked about it on Friday, is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Well, it can also be written by taking the square root of c as c equals a squared plus b squared, the square root of that. This and the distance formula are similar. Here's why. Let's look at example 1, graph it and determine. So I've got 5 and 2, there's t, and 4 and 1. Well, that's not very nice. That's very small there. I'm very sorry that it's that small. There it is, that little tiny line there. Okay, some of you are probably like, oh, well, the distance is 1. It's not. All right, let's do it with the distance formula. Then we'll talk about doing it with the Pythagorean theorem. So distance, let's say x1, y1, x2, y2. So 4 minus 5, probably should have done it the other way around, but I will, squared plus 1 minus 2 squared. Four minus 5 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared plus 1 minus 2 is negative 1 squared. And negative 1 squared is 1, and negative 1 squared is 1. So square root of 2. And it says to the nearest 10th. On my calculator, to get square root, I press second. I'm going to zoom out so you can see x squared. Second x squared right here. 2. 1.4. By the way, instead of taking all your time there, you could have typed this in exactly how it is, and you would have gotten the same thing. Notice I told you that after you wrote it all down. Isn't that kind of me? You get the same thing. I don't care which way you do it. All right, so that's 1.4. That's using the distance formula. We're going to do the same thing using the Pythagorean theorem right here in red. Okay? If I have a segment, it'll be easier to see on the next one. I can make that segment the hypotenuse of a right triangle. I'm really going to zoom in because it's hard to see what I'm talking about. Here's my right triangle. I have a length of 1 and a length of 1. The Pythagorean theorem, or what I've simplified up here, says that I have 1 squared, this length, plus 1 squared equals c squared. Or we could just straight up use the simplified version I had, but 1 squared is 1, 1 squared is 1, and that's c squared. So 2 equals c squared. Square root of 2, c equals 1.4. This right here, RT, is c. Either way works. Again, I could have just put it straight in here and did 1 squared plus 1 squared. I still would have got 1.4, but either way works. I want you to take a minute, pause, do example 2. Use either the distance formula or the Pythagorean theorem. I'm using both. You get to choose. I'm using both just to show you that both work. -3, -5. I don't like how small this is. That is my fault, and I'm sorry. QP, distance formula. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. -4 minus -3 is the same as +3 squared. 6 minus -5 is +5 squared. And I'm going to plug this straight in my calculator. I'm not going to sit and do all the steps. .0. I do have to put 0.0 because it's nearest tenth, but you don't round up because it's 4. Okay, let's try the Pythagorean theorem. And I'm going to go ahead and start with this formula, a squared plus b squared. Okay, this length right here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 squared plus 1 squared. And I'm going to type that in just like it is. Ten squared plus 1 squared. Well, look at that. It's not the same, so something's wrong. Let's figure it out. Let's go back and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Look at that. I can't count. I don't like to take out the... See, I could just redo this video. I don't like to take out the mistakes I make because you need to know that everybody makes them. So when you're counting, so that we make sure that you do it right like I did it wrong the first time, you're counting the little blocks. So there's 11 down, and I accidentally said there were 10. By the way, so I don't have to retype this, if I take my up arrow, press enter and grab that, I'm going to just arrow over and change that to an 11, and I'm going to get 11.0. So they are the same answer. They needed to be the same answer. Thankfully, they are. So either way, you only have to do it one way. You don't have to do it both. I get 11.0 for the distance. Okay. Something we talked about, but it's a good idea to have this little note down here. When two segments have the same length, they're said to be congruent. For example, if AB equals BC, then we write AB is congruent to BC, which is red, the way I just said that. Okay. You are going to work on a midpoint and distance worksheet. You are turning it in. It's on Edge Elastic. If that is not working, please let me know. It's annoying me that it's not working, but I'm going to try to get it fixed and working because it is nice when it does work. You are going to, so you're going to do that homework. And then you're going to glue this in on page 13. Find my pen. So this is I forgot what it is, 1.2, distance and midpoint. We did this one for quite a few days, so we are going to go and fix our tab. I have to actually glue it in. It's not done that. And I don't have any glue. I have to go get some. Okay, so let's go fix our tab, then you can go do your homework. So we started distance and midpoint on page 10, but we ended it on page 13. So So we're done with distance and midpoint. We're going to do segment and addition postulates tomorrow. I'll see you then. Work on the homework. If it does not work, let me know. Keep the paper copy though.